because this man was brave enough, I'm not going to say silly enough, brave enough to jump into timeline in today's meta 2019 going into 2020 without debuff removal.
This is the Undying Beast.
Hey man, if he top rank in timeline, then more power to him, boys.
When Beast was actually competing manually in PvP, he actually knew what I was trying to do.
We can't get a Wolverine team, but we can find a Mephisto team, I guess.
Now, this star agent who's supposed to be proficient and give useful information for PvP is failing.
That's a PvE Mephisto, though.
He's rushing a PvP review on a character, and he's absolutely clueless about what to do. So he got real upset.
You get this asshole out of here! You son of a bitch, you dare do this to me! I'm ready to...
Can't take him serious. He's not like a heavyweight.
You claim you can't take me seriously after you lost to the worst team in Vibranium. After you were begging for an easy team.
We can't take Adam seriously, bro. Like, he's playing a whole different game. And somehow he's in the top ranks of timeline. That's it. Let's just refresh over and over. It don't matter what team you're using, bro.
So then you claim only refreshes and money, and then you go and you spend $40 on a deluxe character with a brilliant CTP just to lose in every single matchup for an entire hour, straight losses. You produce slop PvP content because you're grifting for that Star Agent Crystal reward and for those views.
Leave her on the shelf for now, man. I don't know. Maybe she might be better in like World Boss or something. Hopefully the information was worth it to you guys. I definitely think that she's very good.
This 10-year player and a star agent couldn't even tell you what CTP is best for a brand new character, and here I am using characters who are way worse and performing 50 times better. So now I have to show this star agent creator who's clickbaiting people because he has no idea how to review a character properly. I'm going to show him how to play timeline. So I'm pointing at directions that you guys should be focusing on. I'm using the analog stick a lot. I know how to time my switches properly. I understand debuff removal having to reset so I could stun lock the opponent for longer. As you can see right there, I'm force canceling. People don't even understand what the hell I did there. I could use skills that I'm unable to use in an iframe to force cancel my own iframes early and escape damage. So there, if I have the defense and I time my second skill properly, sometimes the game gives dead buttons. I could have survived against that. But you got to make do with what you have. I triggered debuff removal there again, and now I have basically a free character to use. You got to know what skills have high priority. You got to understand that after you constantly debuff an AI, you have a time limit. The normal time limit is different from the game time limit. If you understand these rules, the world is your oyster. You can basically do whatever you want in timeline battle just so long as you practice. And here, I'm going to showcase my, trick shotting abilities, and I'm fighting the best. I'm fighting two of Tinkinton's teams. I'm fighting NEM JFP, and I'm fighting King Davy. These guys are the best in PvP. They're the top 3 in PvP. And I'm fighting them all with non-meta that I've mastered. And I'm also going to showcase you a little bit of Madeline Prior because I got access to Madeline Prior. And I'm going to showcase that timeline battle could be so fun. And if you knew what you were doing, you could actually review characters properly. Because you go in, you're swapping CTPs around, and you're not having any clue what you're doing and you're basically just an auto slave because you're so cocky and arrogant that you think that you could win with a brand new character just on autoplay against the meta. That's usually not going to happen. You need to understand how to play the game when you've been playing it for 10 years and making a video on it, sometimes 2, every day on this game as a job, as a living. So it's really embarrassing when you grift for this game and then call other people grifters when they actually need skill, team accuracy and precision, understanding of mechanics to do anything like this. I mean, I'm killing meta with Jean Grey and Magic with a Logan with a Mighty Conquest. You have a brilliant authority, Madeline Prior, with 2 supports, and you're losing for an hour in 2 videos. You wasted 2,000 people's time with slop because you're clueless. I call them clueless clickbait content creators because this is what we have in Marvel Future Fight. And this is why the culture around PvP is so bad, where people will review a new character and they have no idea how to operate and how to even function. They just hit the autoplay button and call it a day and then claim it's a review. It's really sad that the only 2 content creators who actually do this properly are myself, a small fry. I'm not really a big-time creator. I make videos whenever I want. I do whatever I want in this game. But Commander and I are basically the only 2 people that you should take seriously for PvP reviews, because you legitimately cannot take any content creators for this game for PvP seriously. Maybe you shouldn't even take me seriously, but at least when I spend my money, I have results. Beast has an hour of failures. The Dying Beast died for over an hour. That should tell you a lot. And I'm basically done with my rant on him. I hope that he never sees my team again and knows that I'm like the boogeyman. Don't even come near my team, bro. If you lose again, you're going to get embarrassed again. Really, really sad stuff. Anyway, know which characters and know their abilities. I'm using Ghost Rider. I'm using Quicksilver. I'm using Jean Grey. I'm using Apocalypse and Magic. I know exactly what they can do. I have them all built with DPS because you can't go wrong with damage, and defense is a statistics-based game. So if you have the same exact defense builds, you're going to lose after a certain point because there's going to be whales who are always better than you, including me. There's always whales that are going to be better than me. The game has to fight me because I know the system inside and out. I know all its glitches. I know what teams could actually function. I know when the game is rigging itself. So I could be playing competitive all the time, but I don't because my loss ratio with these characters are obviously very, very high. Despite me knowing the pattern, I have to get all of the timings down to perfection. But guess what? I can make anybody work, but the timings of all these characters are extremely specific. PvP is extremely specific. There's characters that have specific timings on their skills. There are characters that have debuffs on certain parts of their skill, and then there are characters that have no debuffs. There are characters that could sometimes work without debuff removal. There are characters that have extremely hidden potential. Like, look at this. This is an Energy and a Mighty Conquest Quicksilver. I was swapping in between them, and look how well I'm doing. I use 15 characters for this game mode alone. And there are people who can't even use 1 and 2 meta. I get questions regarding how to use 2 meta in PvP in 2026, which is crazy. It shows that people don't teach anything. They have no idea how to play. And I don't know if this is a fault of the game or this is like laziness. I have no idea, but I'm going to continue to make guidelines for PvP, and the DMs are open on Discord. So if you have any questions on specific PvP builds, you know where to find me. It's really sad that you have to dig in the trenches to get anything fun and positive about this game, because by no means is PvP easy. Like, it's not really designed to be easy if the 2 best characters are totally dominating. Now, if you have like a top 500, 1000 build on those meta, of course, and you keep picking them, it's going to be easy. Timeline battle is going to be easy, and you can probably autoplay it. But autoplay is only for the top 1%. You shouldn't be autoplaying unless your top sentry is top 1000 or your null is top 1000. If you're in that category, then you could probably autoplay. And you have to have specific stats on your cards. You have to have 80 to 100% HP. You have to have full pierce. You have to have around 120% energy attack total. Same with physical attack. Capped ignore defense and skill cooldown and attack speed. You have to have all of these stats capped to play PvP properly too. The swords can be kind of incomplete. They don't have to be totally complete, but they have to be close. I'd say you have to have like 3 to 5 Odin's blessings in each slot too, and you have to start getting up your elite gear as soon as possible. A lot of the whales already have them at level 200, which is why you'll always come across the wall that is these whales who have their accounts perfect. There's also very CTP specific tunes. Like, Conquest is meant for a few selected tunes, but not everybody should be getting a Conquest because people need DPS. How are you going to kill a maxed out sentry with debuff removal? Most likely you can't. As you could see, he's totally invulnerable when the Brilliant Conquest is close to max rolled or it's max rolled. You have to have CTPs with the right statistics equipped at the very least. You could settle with mighty CTPs only if you know what you're doing. If you don't, they most likely have to be brilliant. So we'll go with team by team. So Logan can work with a mighty conquest, but he most likely needs brilliant. They all need the extra stat that gives super guard break immunity. So ambush or clash or whatever it may be. Now, Logan has to have conquest because his 5th one-shots no matter what, so long as the character is not under debuff removal like so. And then it's wise to make him a debuff master with someone like Emma Frost, because he could hold in debuffs and get a sleeper kill. Or, of course, you know, you could use a striker with a one-shot skill to do the same thing. It's up to you with the striker. The striker is totally up to you. Now, let's go over the other characters. Magic is a greed-only tune. I don't think she works with anything else. I think with Conquest, her DPS is too low. Carnage, I don't think he's an egg tune for this. I think he is a DPS tune, so like Brilliant Greed or Mighty or Brilliant Energy. Silver Surfer, honestly, for this game mode, same thing. Look at what he did to Null with one skill. That's Mighty Energy. I don't know why people say he can never work with it. He definitely works with it. And that was an awesome kill. Okay? Like, I do this all the time. This is the only real issue. Like, you have to be very careful against Agent Venom when you're close to death with Carnage with energy. Energy, yeah, it's the lack of defense that's the problem. But because I have the offense, I can actually execute the kill. That's Adam with a mighty energy, by the way. Not even brilliant. It's mighty energy. And this is also Quicksilver, I think, still with the mighty conquest or the brilliant. Quicksilver, great character for this mode because he has a really perfect skill kit despite not having a revive. He has the striker that gives him dodge. He has all iframes. He has protection. He has all debuffs on all his skills. So he could basically solo. And he can trigger debuff removal. He's amazing. So he works with a lot of different CTPs. You can give him DPS or defense. Mephisto, I think he's energy for PvP. It will hurt him in PvE, so I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe as like a second choice option. Because of the ignore dodge, Mephisto becomes way better. For sure. Now, we're almost done beating this team. And my strikers are also very specific. And my times for this is very specific. But I do this all the time with Quicksilver. And I'm doing it with a mighty energy too. This, it takes me a little longer. But I still get the job done. And it is fun. It's fun. It's just when I'm going up against these guys, I usually lose a lot in order to get the win. But the win is very, very satisfying. You know, and I'm showcasing all the different fights. So, Sentry with Agent Venom Null, Sentry double support. I'm going to showcase Sentry with Molecule Man later. So all of these teams are different. I even have like fights against like a top Silver Surfer as well. So you're going to be seeing tactics against everyone pretty much. And yeah, like I say, the builds are all DPS. So you're seeing one-shots from all of my characters. So when they die or when I switch them out appropriately, they have purpose. So I'm killing meta and I have all my characters left. I'm killing this double support Sentry, who's arguably like the biggest problem in timeline. When for me, any characters meta with double support is freaking easy for me most of the time. Most of the time, it's the easiest characters to take down because it's only one meta. And if they could be afflicted by debuffs and defense down and all this, after you reset debuff removal, he's open. Mephisto, like if you want to do it the way, like this way, you have to get that 4 off quickly and you have to cancel that 3 very quickly. But it is cancelable. Here, I skill cancel, so I run away and I have the conquest stat available for me. So I'm basically invulnerable. By the way, I should mention it's very important that when you get a character coming into the match, or for example, when you're starting a match, you have your analog stick available already, and you have your skills that are usually ready to go, unless the game gives you a dead button, which is most likely possible. Here, I also have Ghost Rider with Mighty Energy as well for the burst damage and for the ignore dodge. I have Null with both a brilliant energy and a brilliant conquest. I think he can work with both. Usually his recommended choice is obviously greed, but I don't have a brilliant greed. And Mighty Greed's energy damage is really, really poor. Like its damage proc is not good enough at Mighty, so Mighty Energy essentially has more damage than in itself. The greed needs to be brilliant, and it's really hard to get one. I've never gotten one before. Energy is a very, very good substitute. It's only missing guard break immunity, which Null definitely needs in team battle arena. But for timeline battle, he doesn't really need it that much, and his burst damage is amazing, even though it will have his issues in the auto modes. So Sentry could work with a Brilliant Greed or a Brilliant Conquest here, but Brilliant Conquest is the best choice because when the full role of Brilliant Conquest is maxed out, Sentry gets like the perfect amount of offense with that clash stat. And it can get active quite frequently. Greed basically nullifies him in Team Battle Arena because he just keeps getting reflected no matter who you pair him with. So you can pair him with Chavez, you can pair him with Colossus, he'll still get reflected. And RNG is really, really weird because surfers can activate the counter and get this invisible super guard break immunity, or they just get hit by super guard break normally. I'm going to showcase that to you when I start fighting Silver Surfers, and it's Tinkerton Silver Surfer, so it's no joke. It's probably the best surfer in the game. Sentry is the best PvP character in the game. If you can master Sentry, you could basically put anyone next to him, and you could give him like just an offense support just for safety, because he will almost always have the defense that with the full role Conquest. That's why a lot of people put Agent Venom as support on the team, because Null desperately needs Agent Venom, whereas Sentry doesn't desperately need Colossus. The AI rotation for Sentry and Null is almost the same. They start with 2, then they go into their 5th skill, then they go back to 2, and then the only difference is that Null goes to 4, while Sentry goes to 3, and then to 4 eventually if you cancel him. But the AI rotation is actually the easiest to follow. It's the timings of the dodges and the switches that are the most difficult, especially when you get dead buttons. So here I'm fighting a Molecule Man Sentry team, and Sentry is getting debuff removal all the time. So debuffing him is extremely difficult, and he has decreased damage and increased damage to universals, and universals basically dominate PvP. So this is a really, really tough team up, and it's good that you know how to counter it, because the key is to live and then usually get off the striker so you can get that direct kill. Tier 4 strikers are quite important, and I've noticed that for destruction characters, they are usually extremely powerful and one-shot in itself, no matter which striker you choose. So, like, I've had Omega Red one-shotting an opponent for me, which is really, really crazy. But all strikers are different. Not just the stats, but their secret effects. So some characters have no real secret effects in their tier 4 striker, and some do, like Null, like Thanos. And tier 4 strikers can really come in handy, especially in auto as well. And there are certain characters that get their tier 4 striker up very, very quickly, particularly immortal characters like Null and like Madeline Prior, who I'm going to explain more about Madeline Prior later. Tier 4s are the only characters that could really compete in timeline, and while I'm using many, many niche characters, none of these niche characters can work on auto. So I'm showing you guys the rotations and how I execute it, and you could see how this would look in an auto setup for another game mode. This is the only manual game mode they have, and because this is manual, I could actually properly test characters so long as I bypass the little systems of this game and its mechanics. I could actually test an opponent's value. And, you know, recently for PvP, they dropped all of the matches that you could play from 10 to 5. So in Timeline Battle, in Team Battle Arena, they reduced the matches from 10 to 5. And this is okay because of the system that Netmarble put in place in this game, because They don't do any restrictions at all whatsoever to characters. So it's imperative that you master Sentry and Null, since they are the only two that dominate this mode. And it's important to find out their weaknesses, because in Team Battle Arena and in Otherworld Battle, it's just completely behind an RNG system. And positions are taken into account, and positions do determine the RNG thus. So that's why I take it into importance with those auto modes. But utilize the advantage that you have, where you could play and actually tactically figure the system out and succeed here. If they remove this game mode, which I think they are, they're going to do it eventually, this is going to be not even a video game anymore. It's just going to be like a watch along, because for the other game modes, you know, it's just autoplay, or for Alliance Battle and for World Boss, it's basically the same system where you do for whatever set of character the exact same skill rotation or similar for the entire duration until you beat the boss. This is not really challenging. And you could argue, but they increased the difficulty through a level-based system, but it's difficulty of durability. It's not difficulty of strategy. So this game is becoming more and more like a gambling system game and less like a strategy system game. There's a ton of glitches in this game mode, and I can go over a lot of them since it's kind of relative to the guide. They add extra statistics. They cancel your skills if you try to interrupt them during invincibility and debuff removal. They do the same switcheroo character when, if you die with your character the same time the opponent dies, you switch out your second tune as well. That glitch has been around for 6 years. So they don't change and fix their system at all. That glitch is just a showcase of it. They've sometimes added additional statistics. Oh, no, they do add additional statistics. So if you go into practice mode, they'll have like 5,000 to 7,000 less HP versus ranked, where they have more HP. So they're spiking up their the people that are in top 20. They're spiking up their account too, secretly, without anybody's knowledge. And if you have iPhone and you play competitive, you have to also be aware that they force crashes and losses all the time. So even in this week where Sentry was banned and it was just Silver Surfer, I'm going to showcase how to beat Silver Surfer as well. In this, the game will crash, and it'll usually be during a win. Usually, like, it could crash at any time, and the reason for crashes is because you're playing multiple game modes at a time. So if you play Otherworld Battle and then play this, it'll crash here. If you play this and then play Otherworld Battle too much, it'll crash there. If you play Story or ABX or GBR and you play Team Battle Arena, you'll crash, or vice versa. So if you pay attention to this and you restart your game every 2 to 3 matches, or every time you switch from game mode to game mode, you could avoid a lot of losses that it'll force upon you. Sometimes the non-meta teams are actually stronger than the meta teams, because I'm so used to fighting sentries, and while Sentry is really, really good with Colossus, Null is really, really bad with Colossus support. So if you put Age and Venom, Sentry becomes easier to kill. Bet you guys didn't know that Mephisto has super guard break in that phase. That's pretty cool. Null with Brilliant Conquest can't really be killed by many meta, and that Surfer is perfect. I have to do everything differently. I have to hit Surfer at a very specific time to trigger debuff removal, combine most of my skills, switch in between certain tunes, and I have to know which tunes can actually kill Surfer and which ones can't. And the thing with Conquest that really makes me upset is that when you put Conquest on tunes, sometimes you sacrifice their damage. When you come across a brilliant Conquest Sentry that's perfect, for example, versus that Silver Surfer that you perfected, that Silver Surfer is never going to kill Sentry. But if you build Surfer imperfectly, you could kill those sentries. But of course, he's going to be very open to a lot of other meta. So it sucks because this game always gives you a double-edged sword. And what's really disrespectful is that it took them all the way up to probably the middle of 2026 coming up to actually finally consider putting 2 CTP slots on characters. So here you could see I'm trying to trigger debuff removal like I did. And because now I have 8 to 9 game seconds, I have to perfectly execute this proc. I have to perfectly execute all my skills and that tier 4 striker in order to kill that Silver Surfer. That is insane levels of defense. All just to have not a lot of offense where it matters most. So that's why people and content creators will offer the same type of advice to give to every player, but they won't give specifics. So they'll just say, hey, the best CTP is Conquest. Okay, so people put Conquest on Surfer at Mighty, and all of a sudden, Silver Surfer becomes the biggest complaint in the game. You do the same thing with every meta character, and you're going to end up with the same result. You give Null a Mighty Conquest, he won't work. You give Logan a Mighty Conquest, he works, but he's very limited. You give Surfer a Mighty Conquest, he is awful. You give Adam a Mighty Conquest, he's awful. So that's why alternatives are needed, because how many times are content creators going to say Brilliant Conquest? Brilliant Conquest on Spider-Man, Brilliant Conquest on Elektra, Brilliant Conquest on Emma Frost. Like, how many Brilliant Conquests do you need? You need maybe 5 to 6 Brilliant Conquests, and they have to be full roll, and it's only for the top meta, and it's only if you're perfect stats. And with those Brilliant Conquest characters, you have to perfect them. If you don't perfect them, they're not going to perform for you optimally at all. And they keep adding new features like Elite Gear. So it makes it even harder for niche characters to compete. They'll be released and they can't even do any damage to the main 2 meta in the game that everybody uses. So they make you get this Elite Gear, and the whales get to it first, and they complete it in a month, maybe less. So you have to constantly keep up with this game, and the rules are arbitrarily set by content creators who establish the culture of PvP. So everybody's clueless on how to compete, and they don't know who to build, and the recommendations they get aren't working. If you get into Challenger League, it becomes even harder because they add additional statistics as well as additional penalties. So you go into the shop and you get tokens that people cheer you for, and in order to get these statistics, and you match up the specific patterns. So you get maybe like a pseudo immortality stat, or you negate immortality characters. So in Challenger, you're going to see a lot of Sentry and Surfer or Atom teams, because those teams need an extra reviver, and the only nulls that are going to be staying in Challenger are perfect ones, probably with Brilliant Conquest. Also in Challenger, it costs to refresh an opponent, so it's not recommended to refresh for opponents, whereas in Vibranium, which is mostly what this guide is for, you could do and select what team you want to fight. So most people would fight the easiest team. a Sentry without debuff removal, or a triple meta team, so Sentry, Surfer, Null. Because triple metas are like a double-edged sword too, because triple metas are easiest to use for beginners. So you could find a way to get the switching patterns down, and you could find out who kills what. But they die easy, so you have to utilize your manual play. But now I'm going to go over Madeline Prior and how to use her in Timeline. And I know that nobody's going to use her in Timeline. She came and went in less than 24 hours because people probably got pissed and they don't know what to do with her. What I'm doing is that I'm setting her up to debuff the character right here. And I figured out her debuff mastery rotation, which is 2, delay cancel, 5 cancel, 3 cancel 4, and delay that 4. The 5th skill, the debuffs are in the beginning and they leave at the end. The 4th skill, the debuffs are at the end. And the 3rd has some debuffs, but it's not totally for the duration of the skill. So Madeline Prior is a debuff master, but only on manual. On auto, she's not really a debuff master, and her best CTPs are defensive. She's going to not have the DPS sometimes. So it's yet another character you have to perfect, and she's brand new. So you can get her to tier 4, and you can have a brilliant CTP on her, but she doesn't have her elite gear up. So now what? Now what do? You have to get her elite gear up, and you have to give her those extra stats. So you're going to see here, I already killed Null, but I didn't kill Sentry. This next Sentry kill is going to be cool. I have to set her up, and I understand that the 5th skill is cancelable, and the 3rd skill is cancelable. With the defense, I'm able to run away from damage. So that's what makes her really good. And if I keep my debuff mastery rotation, I can basically get the kill. And I could also skill cancel and force cancel that 2nd skill. And I can keep myself in iframes too. So she does have a lot of potential. But the debate was whether it was between Sentry or Null that she's better against. And I think it's against Null. Because if Null doesn't have the offense to take her down, she'll eventually get the kill. If Null doesn't have the defense to hold, he's going to get debuffed. And if any characters are around, he's going to get perma-debuffed. It's also important that you direct Null to Madeline, or else Madeline can definitely get that kill if Null doesn't target her quickly enough. And she could also kill other meta, even speed meta. So it's important to get that kill off her quickly. And here I just showcase just some more of Timeline Battle. And when she gets that steal off from Authority, she does perform really, really well. And she gets good damage from the accumulation. So it's arguably her 2nd best choice, because Greed offers a lot of offense, but she doesn't have a lot of heal. So she can get taken down quite easily, even though she can take down meta without support pretty easily as well. To put a Greed on her just for one speciality game mode like Timeline is not really worth it for the character as a whole. Timeline, it's all about damage. If you can't get the damage properly on your non-meta, it's not going to work. You're almost never going to kill any of the regular meta. Now, Madeline Prior with a full build is an exception. She does do well with defensive CTPs, and with her skills combined, she does carry the DPS. She also carries a lot of super guard break. Big shout out to my friend Invisible, who allowed me to use his account to test Madeline Prior properly. So I managed to get all of the niche fights against the other meta like Adam, Surfer, and Wolverine in Challenger, because Null, I believe, is banned in Challenger. I think she can be really good against all the meta once she breaks through that ridiculous barrier of debuff removal and the wall from Conquest. If she gets through that, she can kill quite easily, but it's either she needs the burst damage DPS to do it, or she needs the defense to hold for a certain period of time to damage the toon layer by layer. So you get through that first layer of wall, and then you get through to the damage where the actual good part is. Now, against Silver Surfer, I thought she was really good when she got through the layer of Super Guardbreak Community. I think she was interrupting Surfer from all over the place. As you could see, she has really good DPS. As you could see, she also has very good defense against him. And she's executing that second skill from long range. So that's also giving her the ability to interrupt. Here, I'm just showing some team compositions because everybody wants to put Madeline Prior with double support to see if she can take on a meta one-on-one with the auto system. The auto system is abysmal, so you're never going to bypass it. This is where I had the most struggle because Agreed would have probably been a little bit better in this particular situation against Ghost Rider because that Ghost Rider has a brilliant conquest. Now, I'm not saying that Ghost Rider doesn't work with a brilliant conquest, but he loses a lot of DPS if you give him that. However, he can definitely hold his own, and he could definitely tank damage, especially against villains. But as you can see there, I took him down manually. It wasn't too easy, though. The point is that I just wanted to kill that particular meta Ghost Rider. Sentry and Null, I've already killed them earlier, and they're too difficult to kill all the time with Madeline Prior. I've only used the character for about 30 minutes total. Because I know Timeline Battle and I know the system, I'm able to master a new character in like 10 to 15 minutes. Because it usually takes me that long to figure out the character's rotation, and it's very, very specific. There are some content creators who play the character and at full potential for an hour and have no idea what they're doing. If they knew what they were doing, they can give you guys reviews like this that are really, really fun and enjoyable to watch, and they're pure entertainment. So basically, you're getting the best of the best, in my opinion, of Marvel Future Fight in this game mode. If you can strategize, if you could bypass the system and its problems. But anyways, I hope you guys learned a lot from the Timeline Battle guide, and I'm going to summarize the Madeline Prior review for you guys. So it's obvious that despite me testing with Brilliant Authority, it's clearly her best CTP is Brilliant Conquest, and then it's Brilliant Authority, and then it's Brilliant Greed. She needs defense. When she's at full capacity, she's easily a top 6 character, and at some cases, she can also be better than Logan, who's a top 5 character, and I think Commander's theory is correct, and at some point, she could replace Logan in the meta if enough people can get her. In Team Battle Arena, you may often see them being paired together, while Madeline is also a full-fledged counter to him. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Happy New Year, guys.